Fantastic. Welcome to the PYRESWAP show, everyone. And we got lights and we got camera. Let me just tilt this so it's not glaring. So to answer Hustle's concern, believe it or not, yeah, the progress would be dragging along if I was doing more streaming. And the reason why that is because I have to like manually and linearly do a lot of the work right now in the building what we're doing. In fact, almost all of it is me. So legitimately, when I was streaming 4 times a week, it was like I was interrupting my flow 4 times a week. Today is amazingly bullish news because I finally finished something called a Laura. Now, this Laura is not the Laura. It was, in fact, a dummy Laura that I was, I guess, fighting with for the last 19 hours, which was like 2 days of work. Fighting with for about 19 hours to finally get done. And I finally got it done like 32 minutes ago. Yeah. So, like, I don't mean that it would be better for all the communities. Like, I'm talking about what's better for the fucking project. And what's better for the fucking project is that I completely reshape the marketing. So, like, the project actually gets to where it needs to be. Like, it's a little bit harder for you guys emotionally and spiritually because you think that, like, I'm not doing as much, but I'm actually doing a lot more. Like, that's the problem. I think that's the confusing part. You see less of me and you think I'm doing less. Believe it or not, I don't work on Discord. Yeah, like Discord is not like the workplace. Like it's not really where like any of the actual like activity is happening. It's not on Twitter either. Like it's not on Twitter and it's not on Discord. I spend a lot of time in Jupyter Lab and in websites like Comfy UI and on a website called RunPod. Or I literally work with LLMs now for debugging stuff. So what I mean to say is, like, it would not actually be better for the project to see more of me. Rather, I think of this as like this final pinch point where like everybody's faith and belief is tested the most. But again, if there's any upside to the amount of streaming I used to do, I feel like you all should know who I am as a person. So like, if you think that I'm like quitting or like fizzling out, that would be wrong. You can ask Pyre Producer, do I work any less now that we stream less? No, I'm just legitimately all the time working like I normally do. Doing these streams like 4 times a week, while I think that was great for the sake of like content making and I guess explaining the honestly, I can't even verbalize what it was good for. It was good for me, I think, for practice. But it really did not do anything for our marketing, in a sense. It did not do anything for our marketing. It didn't do anything for our awareness generation. And, like, legitimately, I had to learn what I was doing wrong while also streaming for, like, an entire year, 4 to 6 times a week. If that makes sense. Yeah, but, like, it does not actually do anything to have me more active in Discord. It might feel better, but it does not actually, in reality, do anything. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, so I heard the Pope died. That's crazy. I literally do not tune into the planet anymore. I'm sorry to hear that, but I guess he was quite old. Next thing, I guess Huawei Technologies has now developed a chip that rivals the NVIDIA H100, which is the 2022. Yeah. Poppin' Doge or Poppin' Doge, like I agree. Like I'm still here, which is why we keep doing the stream once a week. And by the way, this stream does get uploaded here and there. This is like the main concern. Like, is 5 dead? Is the I hear that all the time. I want you to understand that like the level of scale we're thinking about, and I should really write this down. What I'm working on, so you guys can grasp this, is what you can think of as the Manhattan Project of marketing. The Manhattan Project. I want you guys to understand something. Like, the genesis not working out for marketing was not our first marketing failure. Originally, we acquired 5 Discord servers for the sake of marketing. Because back in 2022, you could do a lot of marketing with 5 Discord servers. Does that make sense? And then having Discord servers in general, as a marketing branch, fizzled out as usefulness. Now, we launched a Genesis event, but that was also kind of timed within a different season of Web3, like timed in a more DeFi-friendly season. That was kind of like a more apt thing to do. But most importantly, a Genesis event does not market a project. It just markets the Genesis event. Like an airdrop doesn't market the project. It just markets the airdrop. You guys can see a lot of projects that market with an airdrop, and all they do is they cause a gigantic pump and dump. But like, that's not the same thing as like getting the eyeballs they want to get and then like leading them through the depth of their project until people actually care about it, like it, and want to use it. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Like, I've been talking about this now for like, I don't know, 7 years. And yeah, like I have gone over the, I think the blueprint like very in depth, at least for the last few weeks. But again, today, big milestone because we finally produced an actual LoRa file, which is this. But I'm not going to get into technobabble about LoRa and why it's important. But like that finally happened again, maybe 40 minutes ago. Like legitimately, like within the hour, we finally got one. It took me about 19 hours of configuration hell over the last 2 days to make it happen. But now that I have this dummy one made, I can actually get the one I wanted probably before the end of the day. Yeah, anyways, the only 2 news points I was going to talk about was the Pope's death and that Huawei Tech has developed a chip to rival the H100. The H100 is pretty impressive. Like, I do know about these chips now. I wanted to also make the announcement of the movie poster, as it were, so you guys can have the flip book and see what we're working on. But again, I just finished the LoRa 42 minutes ago. So like, the movie poster required the LoRa, and actually the LoRa I want still is going to take probably a few more hours to get something like close to what I want, if that makes sense. Anyways, yeah. Anybody have any questions? None? Again, you're waiting on an announcement from me. This announcement will contain, I guess what you could call the flipbook file for our actual content marketing project. The theoretics and like the blueprint for this project has been talked about in great detail. If you're not aware of that, I guess keep your ear closer to the rumor mill, but it'll be revealed pretty soon now. Most things have taken longer than we initially projected, but like, we still get around to completing them. I hope that brightens your day at least. I don't know why you guys are sad. Don't be sad. Yeah. If you want, I could have a bot run my account, my Discord account, but that doesn't really do anything. Yeah. Like again, I really insist you understand that me showing up in Discord more only means that I get distracted more, because I have people DMing me all the time about irrelevant shit. So like, all the time I spend on DMs is time that I spend not moving the actual needle. Does that make sense? And then yeah, like me just showing up and maybe explaining things or being like emotionally upbeat, that doesn't do nearly as much as me actually fixing the fucking problem. I promise you'll be a lot more emotionally upbeat after I fix the fucking problem. Yeah. I don't want to sound like I'm being too high friction, but like, yeah, legitimately seeing more of me does not make the project better. And arguably, how productive I've been able to get in the last few weeks from reducing the amount of streaming confirms that I should probably only be streaming about once a week, at least publicly. Yeah, like I really do insist. We would be moving at half the speed if I was streaming 4 times a week right now. So where I am now, I can't even think of what half of that would be. Yeah, I don't want to sound like, yeah, legitimately, like I promise you, this is the right course of action. It just, I guess, challenges everybody's belief in the project because you don't see as much of me. The reason you don't see me as much is because I'm doing stuff that actually moves the needle. Doing these streams is the minimum amount that I can give you to like keep your spirits up. But like, in my opinion, you guys shouldn't need this at all. But I do realize that because Web3 is filled with a standard of incredibly weak founders that they just kind of ghost their own projects, I'm going to continue to show that I'm not ghosting, but I'm actually just fucking working. Like that's as clear as I can make it. Was somebody typing a second ago? I thought I saw someone typing. Fexer, I want to play the game too. And the thing is, I also, Fexer, I want you to be able to play the game in the Vibratile range where going arcane is something that can happen, who knows, maybe 10 times a fucking week. I really don't know. Does that make sense? Like, I really want us to see the game as it's actually meant to be played. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Right? Like, when we're in the Vibratile range, even the IWV is that much more exciting because the chance of it being arcane. Do you guys understand that whole dopamine concept? Like, the concept that it could go arcane means that every round of the every epoch is like that much more interesting. Does that make sense? Especially when you have a chart moving more often. We had to make a lot of mistakes to learn like how much we were sabotaging ourselves. Us having a swap fee of 0.7% really means we get like 60% or 70% less arbitrage volume like in a given day. So like during actual like development, me wanting to rush things really fucking handicapped us. So like now, arguably, we go over details. But again, we are making progress. And Fexer, I want you to know, because I know you can't see it. When it was running, well Fexer, it still does run, but I think that like the Genesis was just pumping up the yield. But at the same time, the Genesis was also hyperinflating it, which was making everybody sad. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is it hung up right now? The last time I looked, it was running still, so somebody was still playing. Is it hung up right now? Like, I looked at it a few days ago, and like the counter was running. Oh, you don't know. Well, Fexer, maybe it's running. Yeah. Apparently it's the ultimate minute. You can still get in, buddy. You can still get in. You can still get in. Yeah, I mean, you guys stopped, I guess, calling the plays, but like there's still a bit of yield to get. Somebody's still spooning it up. Yeah, like that still scales over time. It still buys and burns over time, even if it's a tiny amount. Well, Fexer, you know, that's that's okay. Yeah, like that's okay. Yeah, I get it. Like when you're used to a certain baseline, it can dip down. But like the fact that it is too not exciting for you means that it's better money for somebody else, if that makes sense. Fexer, I totally understand. Yeah, Fexer, I might be moving as well in the next 30 days, in which case we'll have to skip a show sometime in the next 3 days. But like again, you guys will see the fucking movie poster way before that. Yeah, you guys will be feeling more bullish before I have to announce that we have to skip a week of the show because I have to move. Anyways, yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, like we're going to make it. Like I really do insist. I have never failed at something when I finally took this approach. Did the camera kill? Did the camera die? Okay. I should explain what I mean by that. Fexer, indeed, Fexer, yeah. Fexer, you got time to accumulate all the way up into 0.99 TWAP, buddy. All the way up until 0.99 TWAP, right? Anyways, yeah, so until it's 0.99 TWAP, that's a good buy. But what I mean to say about that is, taking the approach of like cloistering myself to do research. And when I talk about research, I mean like in Q4 of last year, when I was just like reading books for research. Yeah. Legitimately, when you get really clear on the details of the process, what took you so long? I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, when you get clear on the details of a process and like actually take the time to learn it from the right source, and then actually like restructure everything you're doing to the correct way, theoretically, I should say not from theoretically, but like from the blueprints of guys who actually write books on marketing. The guys who write books on marketing, they're so far, even the shittier books on marketing have been much more valuable than me listening to people in Web3 about marketing. Because people in Web3, they don't know shit about marketing. I really insist on that. And like, the reason I know this is true is because you have this type of, did I talk about Abijah and Azaria yet? This is something cool to talk about. This is something cool to talk about for the show. Have I talked about this yet? Well, Fexer, me too at this point, okay? I will let you know, Fexer, when I write the fucking announcement with the movie poster, you might feel a new bullish wind come under your wings, if that makes sense. Okay, if I haven't talked about Abijah and Azaria, I want you guys to know something, and this involves tech marketing completely. This involves tech marketing. And I'm just going to spell that as MKTG. And something I realized, which is something that's very useful for us as Pyre, does that make sense? Whenever people build stuff in tech, quite often with Abijah, they're going from A to B. Does that make sense? Do you guys see this name, Abijah? By the way, these are two names of old kings of Israel in the Old Testament of the Bible. And I actually named them after two kings. This guy reigned for 3 years and he fucking sucked. This guy reigned for 52 years and he's considered like a top shelf king. Make sense? Can anybody guess what Azaria does that's different than Abijah? Can anybody guess? And obviously, yeah. Any takers? Anybody want to risk their reputation about what Azaria is doing differently than Abijah? You know, that's not even incorrect actually. TRT, thank you guys. I really want to give my thanks to the Peanut Gallery for being in like full force today. You guys are really filling the stands out. Okay, Azaria goes from A to Z. I was hoping that your magnificent pattern-seeking brains would have picked that up, but thankfully thankfully I still had something to teach you guys today. When it comes to tech marketing, the guys that are building stuff in tech, they're so zoomed into the tech that they often are just building something to upgrade its state. Does that make sense? And they upgrade its state based on how they feel about it. And I've talked this again and again. I could allegorize that this is actually this is exactly how Phantom to Sonic came into existence. But hey, I don't know that for sure, so why would I speculate? Both in AI and in Web3, nobody's really thinking about like a commercial grade use case. Like they're really not thinking about what a commercial grade use case looks like. Does that make sense? So even in AI, for those of you who don't know, we have this story called The Investment of Fergus Fenbrook. And the way that we're going to provide this story is almost like a video comic book. A video comic book with narration. Does that make sense? And a video comic book of narration, we're generating it with the bleeding edge of AI tech right now. Does that make sense? So I wake up every day at 2 a.m. by the way, and I start work around 3, and around 3 to whenever the fuck I, have adrenal fatigue to the point that I can't concentrate, I kind of work with AI. And even in AI, stuff is getting improved all the time, but nobody's really thinking about like how you would do this to actually solve somebody's fucking problem or like create a vehicle of value to the end. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example. You guys have already heard me talk about how like everybody in Web3 ends up like launching chains again and again, or a Me Too project, like a meme coin. And all they're doing is they're just craving the feeling of success that they see from somebody else, right, that launched the same thing, whether that succeeded or not. Don't get me started on meme coins. But do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, they're just trying to imitate that as rapidly as possible, right? You guys all get it? Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Mack. And I think, you as a doctor, maybe in the medical industry, they have this too, I think. Where somebody improves medical equipment, but like they're not really improving it towards like the use case of providing care, right? It's more like, oh no, we just increase these. I have no idea how that works. Anyways, in AI, like in AI generation, something they work on right now is like getting photorealism to work. And photorealism, I think, has a real use case when it comes to like product marketing, right? So if you were selling, for instance, microphones on the internet in an e-commerce store, you could take a bunch of pictures of this microphone and then you could generate it using a LoRa to make it look photorealistic and put this microphone in a variety of different settings. Does that make sense? You could generate the most futuristic sets behind it. You could make it look like it belongs in a $7 million studio. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys get it? Like, I could take a picture of it against the... You wouldn't even need a green screen. You would not even need a green screen. You could take a bunch of pictures of this mic and then literally put it in the middle of the Taj fucking Mahal or in the Vatican, and you could say the Pope uses this fucking mic, and you could literally generate that with AI. But what you don't want to do is actually use a photorealistic human. And the reason why is that people subconsciously feel like you're defrauding them when you show them a fake image of Jason Momoa using this microphone. Do you guys understand? Like, if you have Arnold Schwarzenegger endorsing this microphone, or Lady Gaga endorsing this microphone, and it's not actually Lady Gaga, everybody's level of trust is decreased. So like right now, there's a lot of this work getting done on getting photorealistic humans correct. But all they're doing for that is there's devs out there generating these fake images of Margot Robbie and fucking Cillian Murphy or whatever. And it's like, hey, that's cool, but like you can't use that for anything that isn't weird as fuck. Does that make sense? Like there's nothing you can use this Margot Robbie LoRa for that isn't weird as fuck. Does that make sense? Because like her likeness is a fucking asset of hers. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So like there's a whole bunch of AI out there that basically says, hey, you can put a celebrity in an image. And it's like, great, I can't use that for shit, especially at scale. Does that make sense? It's like I would get sued. Do you guys get it? So the fact of the matter is that like you can use photorealism for objects because I could do it with a microphone and sell it. But like, you would never want to do photorealistic humans because you can't make a fucking movie. You can't make like there's nothing you can do with that image that like becomes content that a human would care about that can pay anybody's bills. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys get it? Like you could never pay your bills by generating a fucking fake Margot Robbie and then putting her in a cyberpunk dystopia. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like it might look cool at that Abijah level. Does that make sense? Because that's Abijah thinking. Because hey, I'm just going to take this thing here and solve this problem. Wow, look at that. We accomplished taking 25 pictures of Margot Robbie, generating a LoRa from her, and now we can put her in ancient Egypt. Isn't that cool, you guys? And it's like, it's cool at the A to B level, but from the A to Z level, nobody gives a fuck. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, that's an Abijah thinking, but like at an Azaria thinking, it's like, well, I can't ever do anything with that. I cannot change the world with that. I can't launch a $1 billion company or a $1 million company or even a $1,000 company. Does that make sense? I mean, you could probably make $1,000 before you get caught or whatever, but like, I don't know why you would, because you could just, in fact, go away from photorealism because, by the way, the investment of Fergus Fenbrook, it's really meant to be like a commercial grade content project. You can describe it almost like it's a fucking storytelling podcast. By the way, Tom Billy was launching one of those, which, by the way, I think is bullish for us. But it has images that go along with it, like a comic book. Does that make sense? By the way, how do you guys feel about sound effect words? Like, so if a guy's firing a gun in a comic book and it goes blam, do you guys think this adds value? Like, we're not going to have speech bubbles or narration bubbles, but does this add value? Okay, all right. Well, I'm on the fence about it myself, Javery. I will probably later on do a focus group on this, or I'll make an announcement about it and show these two images. Anyways, okay. Point being, you do like it. Well, Fexer, it's going to have. Oh, you like it more visual. Got it. Okay, good to know. And yes, okay, but Fexer. Okay, the good news is there is AI generation for sound effects now, but like otherwise, it would just be my voice. Blam! Blam! That would be me shouting into the mic. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad. Okay, so there you go. I'm digging the fucking idea of comedy because making it a little bit more comedy. Oh no, Fexer, I'm going to voice narrate this. Yep. I'm going to do the voice of the characters too. Yeah. By the way, this is like that's like the version 1. In the version 2, we could probably get AI voices or voice actors or something like that. We could upgrade it later if, you know, me doing all the voices doesn't add value. But I think it will in its own sense. Because I could do the gasps. I'm gonna add gasps into the narration just for the sake of kind of like an homage to 2024. Yeah. Anyways, the fucking point of it is that TIFF, literally Pyre, this is Azaria, this is A to Z for Web3. Does that make sense? And then fucking TIFF, this is A to Z for fucking, for I guess we'd say generative AI. Does that make sense? Thanks, Javery. Thanks, that's a great idea. Well, folks, there isn't any guns in the actual story because it's fantasy fiction and kind of like, you know, low tech, we'll call it that. But I was using the blam to describe that any sound effect in a comic book sometimes has those words. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's not actually blam. It's, Javery, there is no blunderbuss because the fucking people in this kingdom have magical abilities. So like, they could, you know, they do have things like crossbows and bows and shit like that, right? But they also could probably just like, for those that do, you know, shoot something out of their fucking finger, maybe a fireball. Maybe they can shoot a fireball out of their finger. Make sense? Although, Javer, I will say that I'm glad you mentioned blunderbuss, if you do care about this. I have thought a lot about the world building here, right? Because I want you guys to know, like, first of all, I've not been half-assing this at all. You can ask anybody, you know, that knows about this. On the world building side, I thought a lot about like where the actual technology stops, right? So believe it or not, the technology stops at the coal gas level. Do you guys know anything about coal gas? Do you guys know anything about this? Okay, well, coal gas, or even what they call town gas, this is how they used to like light street lamps and stuff before electricity. So they literally had gas lines running under the fucking street, and they would have a gas that they would pipe up to the fucking lanterns. And first of all, you would have a lamplighter whose job was to go and light the lamps with like a fucking, I don't even know what the fuck you would call it, like a long stick with like a little electric torch on the end of it. Does that make sense? Correct, Jamie, correct. I want to. I don't even know what that's a reference to. But the point of it is that I put a hard stop on electricity. Does that make sense? So coal gas, they were still using this in the 20th century. Does that make sense? Like electricity showed up within a few decades of coal gas, and it just like wiped it out completely. Does that make sense to you guys? Oh, well, fantastic. In the metaverse that we are building, you guys will learn a shit ton about coal gas, because I've learned a shit ton about coal gas during this process. But we'll put a hard stop on electricity. Coal gas, you can use it to heat your water in your home, heat your home, light your home. In fact, coal gas can be used to do everything that electricity can do, in a sense. Does that make sense? But we put a hard stop on electricity. So the tech stack of this world, you can think of it everywhere between like the 13th century and even the 18th century, and the 19th century. Does that make sense? No coal gas Twitter. I know, it is a shame. The point being, the reason we stop electricity is not so much that like it's impossible, but the way we put it in the plot is we say that all of the fucking all of the mages, all of the witches that specialize in electricity, they have lobbied the government to outlaw it. Do you guys get it? Yeah. So like electricity, I think, is perhaps known, but like special interest groups have quashed it. Does that make sense? And that's something that the fantasy fiction allows us to explore. Indeed, Jaber, yes, indeed. Exactly that principle. I'm glad you know about that. Exactly that. So electricity might be known about, but like research is prohibited. They're not using it for shit. And the coal gas guys are also happy about this. So the coal gas guys are actually in collusion. Okay, it's actually, there's two fucking groups. Do you guys actually care about this? Do you guys care about world building right now? Okay, they're literally called the Cokers Guild. Isn't this great? The Cokers Guild. You also have the Lamplighters Guild. By the way, this isn't even in TIFF. It's just like I had to fucking do world building in the margins of TIFF to explain things. Does that make sense? Like, we don't talk about either of these guilds. It's not in the plot at all. But yeah, literally that, Jay, but yes. So the Lamplighters Guild, the Cokers Guild, and then also, I guess you could call it the Electro-Magi, right? So the Electro-Magi Coven, right? Because fucking witches are in covens. So these three groups are in collusion, all about stopping research and applications of actual electricity, and that's why we don't have electricity in this fantasy fiction world. Make sense? By the way, buildings can also have coal gas running through them, and they can even light lanterns in the ceiling. But residential places wouldn't have this unless they're very rich. So like only high-end, like commercial or like institutional establishments have the coal gas inside. Most people would literally just have coal gas lanterns that are kind of like portable to light the inside of their home. Make sense? So Fergus's farmhouse does not have a coal gas line running through it because they don't have coal gas in that farm village at all. Make sense? Javery, I'm glad you appreciate the detail. The reason why I had to do it to this level of detail is because this is a metaverse that really has as its core theme economics. Does that make sense? And in order to make economics work, I have to make thermodynamics work. Do you know what I mean by when I say that? Like, I can't break physics and I can't break thermodynamics, but I have to have magic. So how do you make magic work, but you can't break physics and you can't break thermodynamics? Because if you do that, you'll just fucking collapse economics. I think in Harry Potter, there was this part where like they were launching, or they were at a parade or something, and they were showering people with gold coins. But like the gold coins were fake. They would disappear or something. Do you guys remember this? The only part I remember, in Harry Potter was the monetarism. That's how Five's brain works. When they talked about how the money works. Okay, yeah, so when Fives read Harry Potter, I only care about the economics, right? You guys understand that. You probably were the same way. Anyways, the point of it is that like I have to really just trace it down. Like, how do we not break thermodynamics and physics? Great news, I used to work on a nuclear reactor, so I actually know a thing or two things about physics and or thermodynamics. So like, it wasn't that crazy. Javery, okay, well, our bankers are not goblins. Yeah, we will have, our bankers are, they're like cat people. Yeah, our bankers are cat people. Yep, more on that later. There's a certain dynasty called Murashu, and Murashu is like okay. I'll explain why. You want to know? By the way, let's see who's here in the circus. Let's see who's actually here that might actually remember this project. Okay, a few people. Okay. So people here who are in the circus have heard me talk about this project for a long time. Javery, have you ever heard me talk about credit card NFTs? What's up, Leslie? Welcome to the stream. Okay, the credit card NFTs could in theory apply to any NFT, but like the ones that are done deliberately for it, the project, which is, by the way, within Pyre, this is within Pyre, this is phase 5 of Pyre's roadmap, is called the Great Murashu Family Tree. So it's actually called the Great Gaston. I'm not going to say his middle name because it's fucking long as shit. Murashu's family tree. And this guy right here, Gaston Obligato Murashu, is in fact, yes, it is Gaston. Oh no, it's M-U. It's Murashu. Yeah, because it's not a Japanese name. It's a fucking ancient Sumerian name. Yeah. And yeah, I know. Like when I read it first, I'm like, is that Japanese? It's not Japanese, it's Sumerian. And the reason why I picked this name, 2 reasons, is because in ancient Sumeria, Murashu was the surname of the first or the second, okay, Murashu family were some of the first bankers on historical record in human civilization. Does that make sense? So 7,000 years ago or some shit, I don't know, it was probably like between 3,000 and 7,000. Somewhere in there, you can look up the oldest banking, like the first evidence banking ever took place, and Murashu was one of the family surnames. Does that make sense? Are you guys listening to me still? Did that thought convey clearly, or am I mumbling? Okay, Murashu in Sumerian, or what that language translates to, actually means wild cat. Does that make sense? Yep. Now you might know this as well. In the free banking era in the USA, between 1812 and 1913, there was a certain banking practice. Does anyone know the name? Oh, was that a Khajiit? Shout out to the Khajiit. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make them exactly Khajiit. Like I have not generated a single face for this character. I mean, I don't fucking know. They're gonna be fucking richer. I'll tell you that. They're not gonna be like Khajiits that are just like out in the streets on drugs or whatever. You know what I mean? I know about Khajiits, but Khajiits are like ne'er-do-wells, you know? Yeah, correct. Free banking, but free banking was more like, I guess you could call it the regulatory climate. The type of banking that really took place was called wildcat banking. Do you guys know that? So, the first, I think they're the second bloodline, but the second banking family in history actually had, skooma indeed. The second banking family in human history had the last name Murashu, which means wildcat. During the free banking era, which is like, I guess, my area of expertise, a type of banking took place called wildcat banking. Does that make sense? Okay. Now you might be wondering, why the fuck would you mention it twice? Well, if you actually look at how DeFi is run, and when I mean DeFi, I really mean Web3. When you look at how crypto is run, all of these projects that get launched and then just get abandoned, this is all wildcat banking practices, where like nobody cares about the debt. Nobody cares how a bank works. Like they're legitimately just trying to like defraud people, whether they realize what they're doing or not, because they don't understand their business model, and then they just fucking leave. Does that make sense? They behave like animals, which is why it's called wildcat banking. Does that make sense? Like during that era, there would be people pretending they would show up in like a mountain village or like in a farming village and be like, hey, we're gonna open a branch here. We're representatives from New York City, and your gold, you should give it with us. We're gonna put it on a train back to New York. We're gonna give you notes. Does that make sense? Anyways, these guys were fucking scammers. Like they were not from New York. They were just guys that figured out they could go to fucking like during the gold rush of 1849. Right? Have you guys heard of the gold rush of 1849? This is actually important this did not just affect the United States, it also affected the economy of Europe, because this right here allowed a boom of wealth on the North American continent that Europe had a scarcity of gold. So they were able to like flood the European markets with gold from this, just so you know. Like a lot of money came into the United States, North America, because of this gold rush. Anyways, so like, if you want to understand Web3 today, understand what wildcat banking was around this era. They also had things called paper railroads. And even hard times tokens. If you guys look up these three words, you will in fact understand Web3 better than anybody else, because these three things continue to kind of echo through time with like history repeating itself. Hard times tokens is a meme token. They actually circulated these in the 19th century. You can look it up. I actually own one somewhere. I have no idea what the fuck it is, which is kind of shitty because I paid like $80 for it. But yeah, I literally have a token that's from like the year 1828, and it's a parody of Andrew Jackson, and it's literally a meme token. But these were actually circulating on that time, and they were actually using it because Andrew Jackson ended the second bank in the United States. Make sense? I'm not going to explain what paper railroads are, but what we can do is we can look at the fucking image set. Do you guys want to see all the images for old Fergus Fenbrooks, Laura? Do you guys want to see the full 107 page? Do you know, what's it total? 107? 105? We have over 100 images here, and we can just show them all to you. I think that the facial expressions are the ones that people like the most. But yeah, you know what? Let's just fucking end the stream looking at our gorgeous protagonist. Yeah. I think the facial expressions are the winners. Yeah, there you go. This is him without a hat on. This is the version 1 of him, which again is getting merged. There's like 2 versions of him that get merged, so his face won't be exactly that way. But anyways, yes, there you go. You can just keep going. Yeah, there's him with a hat on. Amazing, right? And then click. Here's him at an angle, and the face you can tell has like a bit of a shift, but it's good enough. Yeah, click. Reverse of that image, a mirror, click. Here's him, again, face has changed as well, but it has a bit more of expression, and you can just click. Reverse that image, click. The lore has a lot of mirror images in it, obviously. Same concept, click, mirror, click. This is another angle, and you can tell. Same one again and again, click. Backside of him, amazing. Reverse, mirror, click. This is a different version of him, and I think there's just like 9 of these. You can just go through all these now, yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Now we're getting the facial expressions, which is everybody's favorite part. Here is him, and I think this one is disapproval. I don't know, did I get the right? I'm going to guess the names. Mr. Producer can tell me if I'm getting them correctly. Is this one disapproval? F1 disapproval? Angry. Okay, sorry, this is angry F1. All right, next. This one, I think here he is confused. Yeah, F1 confused. Alessio, yes, I'm done generating these images. But I am not done with the actual Laura yet. Because the Laura, I spent 19 hours on it the last 2 days. Here, I think he's either dejected or sad. He's probably dejected here. Yeah. It's going to be alphabetical, isn't it? Yeah, that's a pretty good tell. Okay, here he doubts. This is his doubting face, I believe. Deject, doubting. This is him drunk. That's him drunk right there. I like the transition as well. Drunk. The other one is laughing. So, you know, if we were running an animation studio, this would be him drunk laughing. I think. I think that's what Mr. Producer's up to. Yeah. What's the next one? He's also nodding, I think, to show that he's correct. This one. Let's see. Not laughing. Is he pouting? Pouting. Lip pout. Yeah. Epic indeed. Here he is. I think this one's sad. Yeah. Grieving. Okay. This one I believe is shocked and or surprised. Yeah, he's eating. That one is smile or smirk. It was scared. Okay. Okay. That one is smirk. Yeah. So that one was smile, smirk. Here he's smoking. It's from smile to smirk to smoke. This is all F1. Do you guys like him smoking? I think you guys will like this one the best when you see how we use it. Anyways, yeah, more on that soon. Yeah, eventually. I should fucking have a pipe. And maybe one with bubbles. This one here is this one's surprised and or shocked. Yeah, almost like Potter's. This one I believe is squinting or winking or thinking. This one is tired for sure, and I recognize it from that the way the hair turned out. This one, he's either embarrassed or uncomfortable. Something like that. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down now. Now that we're all enjoying this together. That one is him winking in a clever way. And now we got both screens working. Okay, this one is him shouting and or yelling. Yeah, good stuff, right? Unconfident, understood. Okay, this is phase 2. So these two phases were generated because it comes from 2 different models, which I'm not going to explain what the fuck that means. But our actual protagonist ends up with these faces merged. Does that make sense? It's almost like they're 2 different levels of zoom. And you can see that like the way that this model looks at outlines and stylization is slightly different. But anyway, they're both good enough for me. And I just didn't want to waste one, so I'm going to merge them together. Anyways, that first one is, I have no idea, but it's F2 something. I feel like it would be alphabetical, but I don't know what would start with A or B, or is it bewildered? Is it bewildered? Did I get bewildered? That's a hell of a guess. Yes, it is bewildered? Okay, fantastic. This one is, I think, disgust. Disgust turned out really good with this one. Both of these faces, like, some of them could do better expression than the other ones. That's all I can say about that. Which is why I'm merging them both in. That's disgust, which is just great. This one is, let's see. Is this one doubting? Is this one... Is it indecisive? I know we'll get. You'll know drunk for sure. They both have a drunk one for sure. Doubtful. Yeah, okay, I can see that. This one is disappointed. Yeah, there is a pensive in there. That one might be. I'm glad you're enjoying this so much, Brucer, but yeah, I enjoyed making them, to be honest. This one, I think he also is doubting or like just disbelief. Is it called disbelief? fluid in here. That's funny. Judgmental. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Judge away. We can keep going, I guess. This is him laughing, I think. Phase 2 laughing. F2 laughing. Yeah. Okay, this one is I don't fucking know. Yeah. Nervous. Interesting. I guess so, yeah. I can see it. This is him shocked and or surprised or panicking. Is it panic? I think it's panic. Yeah. This is him pensive, I think. That's the pensive that Dr. Mack was looking for. Unless I got that wrong. This is him, is it unconvinced? I don't know. It's okay. Quirked. Oh, his eyebrows quirked. Got it. All right. Yeah, I wasn't gonna guess that one. Here he's just shouting, probably. Yeah, shouting or yelling. This one is smoking. That's the better smoking one, to be honest. Look at that one. This is probably my favorite picture in the whole fucking of all the emotions. This one right here. I think that's the fucking movie poster one too. So if you guys like, yeah, I know, I love it too. That's probably gonna be the one that's like on the fucking flip book. Does that make sense? It'll probably be him with this face. It'll probably be a little bit different face because it's a merge of the two. But yeah, like that's probably like when I saw that face, I'm like, yep, that's my fucking protagonist. Like finally, like I have it. I'm fucking zeroed in on him. This is, I think, one of the best. Yeah, it is not a snail pipe, correct? Yeah. And the next, this is him. This one might be smirking. Yeah, because the other one was smoking or smug. Is it smug? Smuggery. Smug indeed. Quite smug. This one is sad. I don't actually see what would be beyond smug. I don't fucking know. Yeah. Yeah, I give up. Sullen. Yeah, I was gonna guess that. Okay, but I get that it's sullen. Is that the end of the batch? Oh no, here he is staring. This one is, I guess, either thinking or this one's probably thinking. Yeah. That one is winking or, yeah, probably winking. And there we go, that's the default image. And you can go to the stack, yeah, okay, zoom out, yeah, and zoom out to that. That's a 768 with the hat, and it goes to 1024 with the hat. Then we have a bunch of fucking full shot poses, and you can just go through this. You guys see how he's fucking zipping through that? Right? What this also does is it allows his hair to change between the shots too. These are a bunch of angles of face too. You guys get that as well. Make sense? Anyways, yeah, you can keep going to the right or whatever towards the end. Is that the bottom of the end? Okay, well there you go. Okay, we looked at it like 108 images or something like that. Anyways, I figured I would just show you some fucking content because I don't have the lore fucking finished yet. I do have a lore finished, but literally it's not the complete model. I had to just throw together like a small prototype to kind of like grease the wheels, if that makes sense. But I will have the fucking final one momentarily. Like I legitimately could have it fucking done in a couple hours. Yeah, hell yeah. Well, you might want to hear the story with him. Well, maybe you will want that. But thank you, Jay Avery. I only spent like 17 years on this, right? So I should hope so. Anyways, once this Laura is trained, our protagonist can basically be generated almost instantaneously through like a variety of scenery. So I want you guys to know, I probably spent like 4 to 6 weeks just getting to here, which is literally the finish lines at the end now. Once this protagonist is done, I can generate like all the visuals for all of Act 1 probably in like a day. Does that make sense? Like legitimately, like I can just put this guy, any pose, any expression. Does that make sense? And then as he goes on this fucking journey, yeah, Make sense? Is that what, are you asking me, Alessio, or are you telling me? That still doesn't mean I would have it recorded that same day, but like I really mean to say, Alessio, that all of this time spent on getting like the image generation right, the point of investing this much time was to give us a content advantage going forward. Would you guys agree that we had a content disadvantage, like during meme coin season? On the 7th day, got arrested for real, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jay Avery, we're going to be able to make the best content ever all the fucking time once this thing is completed. And arguably, we're pretty close. Yeah, because now that this is dialed in, by the way, most of the 6 weeks, a lot of it was like my education and also like taking stuff that was made and like thrown out and going back to the drawing board because you learned something new. Does that make sense? Yeah. Arguably, Sora has not been used at all. By the way, we're not going to do animation or sound effects for at least the version 1 of Learn Pyre. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. Yeah, anyways. He is going on an adventure, for real. That is true. Javery, 100%, yeah. And yes, Alessio, it is good news. I'll have an actual flip book for you guys soon. I promise. I'm not pretending to fucking work on this. I would be having a lot more fun if I was just pretending to work on this. I'll tell you that. Anyways, yeah, it is an iterative process, but you also have to like get it to a fucking. You also have to like actually get to an output too, which is the whole Abijah versus Azaria thing. Alessio, I would say that all the writing still has to get like adapted. Yeah, does that make sense? So like I still think, now that I know how long everything takes, I would still say that like May is not going to be the month where we have the fucking where we have the launch of Learn Pyre. But I think June could be realistic. Yeah. But like I had to get this far just to realize just to learn how long things take. Does that make sense? But yeah, I also would, while the writing and the image generation still have to get tuned to each other, there's still going to be a whole bunch of unforeseen problems that show up there as well. Does that make sense? So I don't want to say timeline at all. Like I just want to continue showing you guys where we get. You'll see more concrete, more exciting things soon. By the way, once I'm able to have this LoRa process done, we're going to give the fucking PYRESWAP.com and PYRESWAP.finance, the DApp, we're going to give them both an aesthetic overhaul real fucking quick. Does that make sense? Jerry, I appreciate that. Yeah, like the first draft is done, but like it's not really, the first draft is done, but it's not really compiled. And then at the same time, I'm also going to have it, I'm supposed to have a sounding board of like 3 to 4 people help me with that. And I have been spending, I don't know, 11 to 13 hours a day on this fucking AI shit for a while now. And I can't wait to get back to writing, to be honest, and like literally just getting fucking Act 1 completed. Because once Act 1 is completed, I think I'll be able to generate all the art for Act 1 and the prose for Act 1 at the same time. And that will be like a true, when I circulate that, I think that will be like the true, I guess you could say, MVP of the project that really shows the value of this, if that makes sense. Thank you, Abuelito. Yeah. Yeah, but again, I need you to understand that it's the Manhattan Project of Marketing. I don't think anybody in Web3 has read 13 books on marketing and how to apply it to an A to Z use case. So like, if you guys understand this is a DApp that's meant to be like end user application. Does that make sense? Do you guys get all that? Right, Javery, that's what I mean. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna fail at all. Right? People are telling me to give up. People are telling me to quit. People are telling me to launch something else. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Does that make sense? Do you guys know that Tomb Finance also fucking crashed and then like came back to life? If you understand that this project was about resurrecting Tomb Forks, please understand that like there's nothing to be scared of if you think Pyre Phantom's dead. Make sense? Like, because you either believe we can resurrect shit or you don't. Do you guys get it? So like if something else looks dead, who cares? Because we're already looking at resurrecting Ice Cream Finance, which was rug pulled. and piggy finance, which was rug pulled. So if you guys think that like Pyre Phantom coming back to life is like keeping me up at night, it's not. Yeah. The only thing keeping me up at night is how much blue light I get working as a fucking dev. I'm sorry. Does that make sense? Alessio, I'm glad that you're demonstrating that you have tenacity. I want you to understand, Alessio, people who have less exposure to me, they don't have follow through. Does that make sense? They don't believe in follow through. Do you guys get it? Web3 doesn't have that in a culture because Web3 does not know it's in the business of fucking banking. Do you guys get it? Like, in banking, you have to have long-term thinking. You have to understand what your job is. Do you guys get it? Like, it just there is a grievous conceptual errors. When I was in nuke school, there were these marks you could get. If you could cut the image and bring my white. When I was in nuke school, by the way, which is a highly difficult school, which I went through between the ages of 19 and 21. So I was like college age in this school, right? There was ways that when you took a test, you would get marked for getting a question wrong. And some of these things were CE, another one was GCE, and then another one was ECF. Does that make sense? So in red pen, you will be taking a test. Nukes are not allowed to take multiple choice tests. Does that make sense? Every fucking test we take, you have to like write everything out by hand. Does that make sense? It's like this high standard for us. Does that make sense? The rest of the military is allowed to take multiple choice tests. But to prove that we're the smartest, we cannot take multiple choice tests. Does that make sense? So every test you take, it's like you're going to write this all out. Like you're going to prove your fucking answer. Does that make sense? So you don't just get to answer the question with like, I think it's this. You have to prove how you get from the question all the way to the answer shown in the field. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So these are three things that like an instructor, when they graded your test, they would fucking slash points off for you. Does that make sense? Like you're getting this wrong because of this. And they don't just explain that you got it wrong. They have to explain why you get something wrong so they can correct you upstream of where you produce the error. Does everyone understand this? Like this is really critical to like how this all comes together, that I'm a former Navy noob. So GCE, let me see if one of these things work. Do I have a red pen working today? Let's see. CE stands for conceptual error. Is that legible on the screen? Can you guys read the red? Yeah, kind of, right? GCE stands for gross conceptual error. Okay? So if you got a conceptual error, it would be like you would lose like half the points in the answer. Because if you made a conceptual error, but then you still answer the question right based on your error, they would give you partial points. Does that make sense? If you get a gross conceptual error, you lose the whole question. Does that make sense? And a question can be worth like, I'm not going to explain how that works, but like questions are weighted too. So like, let's say a test is worth like 200 points. One question will be worth 2 points, another question will be worth 24 points. Like it's I'm not going to explain how that works. Does that make sense? Gross conceptual error is like getting shot in the chest. It's like you completely have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Does that make sense? Right. Which brings us to ECF, which means error carried forward. And what that means is, this was another thing you could get wrong. ECF was not as bad as GCE. Arguably GCE is the worst one here. But error carried forward means you made an error earlier in your line of thinking, but you brought that error forward to your final answer. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, all of Web3 is a gross conceptual error carried forward. That's what most things are being like pumped out in Web3. It's a gross conceptual error carried forward. I didn't realize that I would need to learn marketing as much as I do to actually teach these fucking concepts so these conceptual errors would not be made. Therefore, through a marketing funnel, people could actually arrive at the right way to understand the answer. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It is a gross conceptual error carried forward. Because people are launching financial instruments. They don't know they're financial instruments. They don't know that if you're launching a financial instrument, you're a fucking bank. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they Anyways, that's a story about 5. Alessio, yeah, agreed. And the thing about that, Alessio, is if this doesn't get solved, we don't have a financial or economic revolution. Does that make sense? Like, if this doesn't get solved, which apparently only one guy's gonna do, we're never going to have that revolution. I mean, sorry, Cronje a little bit as well. Sorry, Mr. Producer was gonna correct me. Yeah, Cronje also capable, but perhaps he's more chain focused now. Yeah, it is what it is. But the point of it is, since I spent the time learning marketing, if these things don't get done, like, and I guess marketed to the point where people understand why the fuck they're valuable, it just does not, like, manifest. Like, there isn't, how do I describe this? Like, okay, if we built a campfire, does that make sense? And we just let the fire cook and we just let the fire burn. Hey, FM, thanks. Yeah. How about this? Like, I'll die before I fucking fail. Yeah, I'll die before I quit. Understand that. Yeah. FM, I want you to know that the fact that people in Web3 think that, like, oh, I'm waiting too long. I'm watching a project go 100x every day. Those meme coins are getting volume botted to make that happen. So, like, they show that in the first hour, they're up 36,000%. I need you to understand, like, they're just creating that for you to, like, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're doing that to fucking fuck with your mind. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, hey, this project is 13 minutes old and it's up 8,000%. I'm like, okay, let's really step back and think about what we could possibly be looking at. The fact that this has taken so long, and by the way, not really long, you think about 100xing your money, I think it proves that it's more sustainable and realistic. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if I thought, like the rest of Web3, I would have just given up back in 2023 when we had the first setback, right? I would have just given up in like June of 2023, right? When the first developers were quitting. Does that make sense? Right? Or I could have given up when the Discord servers didn't work for marketing, right? Like, I could have just given up, I don't know, 15 different times by now, right? But, like, that's just not, that just isn't going to kind of, like, fuck that. Like, I don't know. Like, I hate anybody who gives up. Like, I would rather die. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you? People spend their lives doing such mundane bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, the most important thing, fuck, man, I'm not going to get all philosophical on you. Legitimately, like, you would hate your, fuck, man. I hate people who give up and then don't hate themselves for giving up. Does that make sense? Granted, a younger me has given up. Does that make sense? I had to get molded into understanding this way. But, like, don't give up. You don't have to give up. It's not that bad. It's not that fucking bad. Do you guys get it? The upside of this, it doesn't just change your life, it changes Web3's future. Do you guys understand? So, like, when you talk about 100xing your money, like, I want you to understand that's not even the ceiling of this project. Make sense? Like, it's not the ceiling. Because by phase 5, like, that will be ancient history. And you'll be like, wow, I now have a fucking NFT with a line of credit of $75,000 associated with it. I've never had a $75,000 credit card before. And this one's an NFT with a Khajiit on it, right? It's not a Khajiit, okay? All right, anyways. Okay, let me scroll back up to what something else is saying. Okay. Okay, do you guys understand that, like, insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results? So, if we were trying to, like, cook pasta and we have a fire and we have a pot, but all we're doing is just burning the pot because people don't realize that they need to add water and then fucking noodles. Do you guys agree that, like, we're never going to cook pasta, right? Because nobody's connecting the fire to the fucking noodles? Charles also correct. Yeah. People do give up right when they shouldn't. Yeah. So like people are fucking getting people excited about these pots that are getting heated. Does that make sense? But nobody's actually, like, they're placing pre-orders for the fucking pasta. Then they sell that pre-order of pasta to somebody behind them. And then everybody thinks that the point of this is pasta pre-orders and not pasta itself. Do you guys get it? When Learn Pyre is done, we're also going to have an upgraded user base. And I want you guys to understand something. Web3 can only get as good as the people within it. Do you guys understand that? Like, the value of Web3 is the value of the people in it. Do you guys get that? Like, the market cap of Web3 is the value of, like, the people in it and how they behave. Do you guys get it? Because the whole thing is a credit system, which I swear I've talked about before. Okay? You guys understand me? So what I mean to say is, okay, so Learn Pyre, we're actually going to have a system that begins taking the average person in Web3 and then actually upgrading them. Does that make sense? Like, we're going to begin investing in our user before they even arrive. And then by the time they get here, we're going to have a higher quality user. Does that make sense? Like, a higher quality person is going to join this fucking Discord. Do you guys remember when we were giving away Pyre AVAX? Do you guys remember the Pyre AVAX giveaways? I think August and September of last year. Would you agree that the quality of user was like as low as you could get on average? Yeah. So like every detail in marketing has to be considered. Make sense? Every detail. So like if you want the person showing up, I talked about this before. Remember when I talked about going to a church for a wedding versus going to a church for a funeral? Do you guys remember that allegory? The context means the context of your arrival determines your behavior once you're inside the building. Does that make sense? It's an allegory. Right, exactly. Because like the context of your journey there is going to determine how you behave when you get there. Does that make sense? So if you change the context, if you change the... It's hard to explain, but I can sort of see it when I'm fucking done. Some people are not going to make it to the fucking funnel, but that's fine. What we do know is that like pushing people through this funnel, they're going to know everything they need to know. By the time they're at the end, they're going to understand what this project does for them. And what's most important is that the reason people don't learn the depth of this project is that they're not motivated to. Does that make sense? They don't have an internal motivation. They don't feel the need as to why they would sift through all the jargon that we have all over the fucking site. Does that make sense? They have to be spoon-fed, or should I say they should have a trail of breadcrumbs given to them that is kind of customized towards their situation. And like Web3 does not know marketing, so they don't do this. They just kind of like shill. Shilling is not marketing, by the way. Anyways, I'm going to stop giving away fucking game because arguably people, once we go on 100x, people are going to go back and look at these fucking streams. And I probably gave away billions of dollars to people who don't fucking deserve it. So I'm going to shut the fuck up now and stop explaining how it works because somebody might use that to get something they don't deserve. Make sense? You guys get it? The level of detail we have as far as like the storyline structure goes is insane. It's fucking insane. It's actually scary how effective it could be. More on that real soon. Anyways, thank you guys for coming to the PYRESWAP show. We're going to end it here. I'll have a movie poster for you guys real soon, I promise, okay? Real soon. It's going to look great. It's going to have Fergus Fenbrook smoking a pipe on the first fucking page, okay? It's going to be immersive. It's going to make you want to care about the storyline, all right? And also, it's going to be a first for Web3. So instead of us going onto Twitter and then joining the chorus of voices shouting into the fucking void, we'll be able to do something novel that adds value at every step. Meaning it gives value to the visitor at every fucking step. So it's not extractionary. We don't have to give them money. We just give them content value. and it brings them a step towards us while also helping them realize this product is built for them. Does that make sense? I think that the biggest error we made in 2024 is that because everything was so fucking complex, people looked at it and thought it wasn't for them, but it actually is for them. Does that make sense? And that level of complexity had to get kind of lensed and focused in a way that people could understand it's for them, so that by the time they make that connection there, they're motivated to want to fucking learn from the other resources. Make sense to you guys? Okay, let's end the show now because I'm fucking, I'm gonna get back to work and finish the LoRa so I can finish the poster, so I can finish the content, so I can finish the funnel, so I can get you guys your 100x, 1000x, 10,000x, 100,000x, 1 millionx, 10 millionx, 100 millionx. Okay, all right, guys, bye.